Hey everybody, welcome to Book Report, a series on Read, Write, and Cite. I'm Dr. Jacob Larson. In this video, we're going to talk about Anna Laetitia Barbauld. Anna Laetitia Barbauld, I hope I'm saying her name right, I apologize if I'm not. She was a poet and a writer of many, many different kinds of things. Her life, she was born in 1743 in England. Give you a little bit of perspective. She died 1825. So, a nice long life. Some of the highlights to get us started. She was daughter of a dissenting minister and a schoolmaster. She received a classical education. So she had a wealth of educational background. She knew French and Italian and Latin and Greek and would have studied all the things that come with that. She began writing poetry at a young age, and she published her first collection in 1773. So for us Americans, that's shortly before the American Revolution. She also wrote children's books, political pamphlets, hymns, literary criticism. What we're going to be looking at today, what we're going to be looking at today is some of her poetry. But she was very interested and involved in several important political movements. She was married to William Barbauld, a French teacher and clergyman, 1774. So a year after she published the book of poetry, they moved to Suffolk, where they ran a boarding school for boys. Then they later moved to Hampstead and Stoke Newington. They continued their educational and literary activities. Her husband died by suicide in 1808. She continued to write until her death in 1825. That's a little bit about her. Just historically, it was very unusual for women to have such a wealth of education, be able to be published at all during this time period. So she'd come from some money, which made that possible, but she also tried to pay it forward. She was very interested in a lot of things, and she tried to use her education and her writing to promote causes that were important to her, like abolition and women's, rights and things like that. Okay, so let's look at some of her poetry. First up, we get a epistle to William Wilberforce Esq on the rejection of the bill for abolishing the slave trade. Okay, so I believe this is written in 17... I'm looking at my text here. 17... It's the 1770s, I believe. So William Wilberforce had tried to pass a bill in Parliament abolishing slavery, the slave trade, and it was overturned. It didn't pass. And so instead of just writing a letter encouraging him to continue the fight, she wrote a poem. So I'm going to read part of it. I don't think I'm going to read the whole thing. It's 3 pages single-spaced in the copy that I'm looking at. I just want to pull out some phrases and lines that I think are really interesting. Okay, so from the beginning. Cease, Wilberforce, to urge thy generous aim. Thy country knows the sin and stands the shame. The preacher, poet, senator in vain has rattled in her sight the Negro's chain. With his deep groans assailed her startled ear and rent the veil that hid his constant tear. Forced her averted eyes his stripes to scan beneath the bloody scourge laid bare. The man claimed pity's tear, urged conscience's strong control, and flashed conviction on her striking soul. The muse, too, soon awakened with ready tongue at mercy's shrine, appulsive pains wrung, and freedom's eager sons in vain foretold a new Astrian reign, an age of gold. She knows and she persists. Still Afric bleeds. Unchecked the human traffic still proceeds. She stamps her infamy to future time, and on her hardened forehead seals the crime. When Barbauld is talking, and she says she's talking about her country. She's talking about England and her resistance to do the right thing. As the poem continues, she talks about how it's going to affect the country negatively, how it's going to tear them down, like being okay with slavery and the slave trade and all the things that come with it, what she calls a sin. It's going to tear them all down, she says. So she's trying to make this plea to those who aren't enslaved, saying that this is not just about them, this is about you. And obviously, it's about those that were enslaved and being stolen from their homes. But she's trying to make a plea in a way that she felt was logical for the day. Let me skip to the end. This is the last stanza. For you, whose tempered ardor long has borne untired the labor, and unmoved the scorn, and virtues fasty be inscribed your fame, and uttered yours with Howard's honored name. Friends of the friendless, hail, ye generous band, whose efforts yet arrest heaven's lifted hand, around whose steady brows and union bright the civic wreath and Christian's palm unite. Your merit stands no greater and no less without or with the varnish of success, but seek no more to break a nation's fall, for ye have saved yourselves, and that is all. Succeeding times your struggles and their fate with mingled shame and triumph shall relate, while faithful history in her various page, marking the features of this motley age, to shed a glory and to fix a stain, tells how you strove, and that you strove in vain. And so she ends by talking directly to Wilberforce, saying, like, you did your part. They're responsible for them. It's just too bad that it didn't do anything. So obviously she's disheartened. She's frustrated. She wants Wilberforce to continue. Just a little bit of historical background. So this is late 1700s. It was like 1830-ish when it did finally pass, when they did try to stop the trafficking of slaves from Africa to England, according to what little research I've done. And so that is after Laetitia Barbauld passed. So she wasn't able to see it in her lifetime. So this is one of the many examples of our poets and our writers from England pushing something, and it taken a really long time for it to really follow through, for her being able to see the fruits of the labors. I'm going to skip ahead to another poem. I'm going to jump ahead to The Rights of Women. Okay, so this one, I'll read the whole thing. It's a little less than a page long, single-spaced. Okay, The Rights of Women. Yes, injured woman, rise, assert thy right, woman, too long degraded, scorned, oppressed, O born to rule in partial laws, despite, resume thy native empire o'er the breast. Go forth arrayed in panoply divine, that angel pureness which admits no stain. Go, bid proud man his boasted rule resign, and kiss the golden scepter of thy reign. Go gird thyself with grace. Collect thy store of bright artillery, glancing from afar, soft melting tones, thy thundering cannons roar, blushes and fears thy magazine of war. Thy rights are empire, urge no meaner claim, felt, not defined, and if debated, lost. Like sacred mysteries, which withheld from fame, shunning discussion, are revered the most. Try all that wit and art suggest to bend of thy imperial foe the stubborn knee. Make treacherous man thy subject, not thy friend. Thou mayest command, but never canst be free. Ah, the licentious, and restrain the rude. Soften the sullen, clear the cloudy brow. Be more than princes' gifts, thy favours sued. She hazards all, who will the least allow. But hope not, courted idol of mankind, on this proud eminence secure to stay, subduing and subdued. Thou soon shalt find thy coldness soften, and thy pride give way. Then, abandon each ambitious thought, conquest or rule, thy heart shall feebly move. In nature's school, by her soft maxims taught, that separate rights are lost in mutual love. And that's the poem. She uses some really interesting imagery in this poem. She's describing a battle essentially between men and women trying to achieve women's rights. She's using the imagery of the day, talking about cannons and their roar and the artillery. And so you think of the early 1800s and the Napoleonic Wars and this imagery for what that might have looked like. And that's her metaphor for the fight for women's rights. So she opens with the lines, line 2, woman too long degraded, scorned, oppressed, O born to rule impartial laws despite. And then you jump to the very end, the last 2 lines, in nature's school, by her soft maxims taught, that separate rights are lost in mutual love. There's this idea that by being too gentle, by being too willing to make peace, to be the peacemaker, to be okay, to avoid conflict, that in that mutual love you're lost, and your needs and your rights are lost as well. Now, we look at it, and I'm recording this in early 2024, and when we think about women's rights, we may not go all the way back to the late 1700s, early 1800s. In America, we think of the first women's conference, where we have like Sojourner Truth is like 1848-ish. We get Seneca Falls up in New York, and Sojourner Truth later in Akron, and we're thinking years after Anna Laetitia Barbauld died. And that's in America. And obviously, we're working with different laws, but the ideas are there. Women are pushing back. They're seeing a problem. And we see this in lots of different situations, especially throughout Europe. Constant wars and revolution all throughout the 1800s as people are dissatisfied. And she is dissatisfied with the rights of women. It's not till the early 1900s that women get the right to vote in England, which is obviously a significant movement, and that's nearly 100 years after her death. So she, again, like others, is an example of those pushing long before they see the fruits of their labor to try to change minds and hearts to get something done. She is what we'd probably call a radical for her day, pushing things politically that were probably not acceptable. But as we're able to look back, she does it with very impressive and well-crafted poetry, with powerful imagery. And as we want to understand what's going on, we can pat ourselves on the back and feel good about where we are now, maybe. But we also need to recognize that it was a long fight to get here, and there's still room to go. So these are 2 examples of the political poetry, if you will, from Anna Laetitia Barbauld. So what'd you think? Did you like it? As I talked about this with my class the other day, they said, well, it's a little bit stuffy, a little bit hard to understand. But I think after discussing it, they're able to get a different appreciation for it. And hopefully you did as well. So that's a little bit about Anna Laetitia Barbauld. I hope that you found that instructive, and it's kind of nice to hear her words and kind of think about her day, and her message. So that's it. This has been Book Report from Read, Write, and Cite. I'm Dr. Jacob Lauritsen. We'll see you in the next one.